Pep Talk UK, Pro Beez once again. Remember, subscribe. And I'm delighted to be joined by the Hall of Fame promoter, Mr. Bob Arum. How are you?
Really good, thank you.
You've been around for a long time in the sport. Was there a bit of joy of watching Mike Tyson return back into the ring against Roy Jones Jr. over the weekend just past?
Well, it was a trip down memory lane. Mike Tyson and Roy, during their era, were phenomenal fighters, great attractions. And even though they're at an advanced age, it was great to see them in the ring again.
Mm. There's also now, it looks like talk of Evander Holyfield want to fight Tyson now. It looks like something's been brewing now. Something's been started now.
Well, that's good, but you know, eventually the public will tire of it because, you know, they're just not really athletic competitions. Athletic competitions are when two fighters in their prime are in the ring and ready to do damage to each other. And with the legends, when they do an exhibition, the one thing they don't want is to hurt each other. So it's different. And, you know, and it's great for the public. Who wouldn't want to see Tyson and Holyfield in the ring again doing an exhibition? Because we all remember, or at least people of a certain age remember, how their two fights when they were in their prime turned out.
Especially the second one. That was quite dramatical, I must say.
Right, with the ear, yeah.
It was talk of 1.2 million.
Squares, they saw that, you know, if you ask people, the arena held 15, 16,000 people, but probably 100,000 people claimed they were at that fight and saw the ear being spit out.
It done pretty well. 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. Good number.
Yeah, it's a testimony to the popularity of Tyson and Roy Jones.
We also saw the weekend just gone, we saw Joe Joyce kind of make another statement at heavyweight. Did you get a chance to see that fight at all?
Yeah, we bought that fight from Frank Warren, and it was shown on our digital platform, ESPN Plus. Did a very, very solid audience rating. And I certainly saw that fight and really enjoyed it. I thought it was a terrific heavyweight fight. Joyce surprised me. I didn't realize that he was that good and that intelligent. I mean, he fought a beautiful fight using that jab. He certainly can take a good shot. So he really excelled. I thought, frankly, that Dubois was going to win that fight because he was younger and he was a big puncher. But Joyce handled him and handled him fairly well, although it was a very, very close fight when it was stopped.
Mm. You think experience gave Joe Joyce the edge in his fight?
And smartness, yeah. Definitely experience. Definitely fought the much more intelligent fight, fighting against clearly the better puncher in Dubois. Joyce isn't particularly a big puncher, but he has a piston-like jab, which he used, and great ring smarts.
A lot's been made of out here in the UK of Daniel Dubois taking a knee and bowing out, and he's been getting a lot of stick over here. I mean, would you make of a fighter, you know, deciding that enough is enough in the ring?
Well, it's not really that. I watched that fight and I saw the eye, and the eye was dangerously, looked bad, really bad to me. I mean, it was completely closed. You couldn't see out of it. Something was wrong with it. And I think when he got hit, in that round, right on the eye again, and it really must have hurt tremendously. He felt that discretion was the better part of valor, and it appeared to him that if he continued, he might lose the sight in that eye, and that would be the end of his career. So I think he did the intelligent thing. There was no reason for him in that situation to keep fighting.
Eddie Hearn's come out recently and said that it's been poor matchmaking, putting Dubois in there with Joe Joyce. I mean, you've been in the sport for a long time. Would you have sort of slowed the pace down for Daniel Dubois and kind of gave him more learning fights before he got in there with a seasoned pro like Joe Joyce, who's had an extensive amateur career?
Well, again, that's Monday morning quarterbacking, as we say in the United States. You can always, after an event, criticize a promoter or a manager for taking a fight. But I think Frank felt like most of the people in boxing was that this was a good opportunity for Dubois, and that Daniel had a big chance to win that fight. Now, it turned out that Joyce handled him well, although it was a very close fight. So you can say, well, he shouldn't have put him in. But again, that's what we call in the States Monday morning quarterbacking.
I mean, Frank Warren's responded to criticism from Eddie Hearn about matchmaking and said, look, you put in Kell Brook with Golovkin and Errol Spence Jr. I mean, would you kind of make of Frank sort of hitting back at Eddie Hearn?
Well, both of the guys, Frank and Eddie, should concentrate on promoting the fights that are coming up, and rather than taking shots at each other the way they're doing. I don't think that's helpful for either one of those guys. I mean, Eddie has a big fight coming up with Joshua and Pulev, and I've told Eddie, I've told everybody that I believe that Pulev has the right ingredients to wear Joshua down and to win the title from him. So Eddie should be concerned and worried about that fight, which takes place, I guess, a week from this coming Saturday.
I remember interviewing you in Las Vegas for Wild Against Fury Part 2. And at that time, you clearly said to me that AJ is not an elite fighter. I mean, obviously, events have transpired since. And a lot of people are saying AJ's resume is looking very good now on paper. Do you still kind of hold that mindset that AJ is not an elite fighter for you?
Well, what I really believe is, forget resume. I look at his body of work, recent body of work, and he got knocked out, no question, by Andy Ruiz, who had 30 fights under our promotion and was not a knockout artist. Quick hands, good boxer, but not a powerful puncher. And look what he did to Joshua. So I think what that did was expose Joshua's chin. And look what happened in the rematch. Ruiz came in no shape. He partied between the fight and where he won the title and the rematch. He was obese. And what did Joshua do? He didn't try to avenge the fight by taking Ruiz out, but he ran around the ring and Fat Andy couldn't catch him. So looking at those two fights, I have to say, I don't look at Anthony Joshua anymore as an elite fighter. Period. And I don't care that he knocked out Klitschko at the end of Klitschko's career and he fought some other decent fighters. I'm telling you that right now, because we're in the present, Anthony Joshua is no longer, in my opinion, an elite fighter.
Well, and you believe Pulev has got the ingredients to potentially stop an undisputed fight with Tyson Fury and AJ next year?
Yeah, I think that's what the Wilder people were upset because with the Joshua fight looming, it appeared that Fury would go right into a Joshua fight, assuming Joshua beat Pulev. And I told everybody, don't get concerned. I believe Pulev is a tough, strong Bulgarian, and I think he's going to take Joshua apart. And then what Tyson doesn't have to worry about or think about fighting Joshua for this massive payday. He'll be happy, I think, to do the third fight with Wilder, which will be the biggest fight out there.
What's the latest on Deontay Wilder seeking legal action? Has that sort of died a death?
Well, everybody, you know, I've been persuasive to everybody. I said, let's not waste a lot of money on legal fees. Let's see what happens with Pulev and Joshua, because if Pulev beats Joshua, Joshua's going to ask for a rematch because it's in the contract with Pulev. So that takes Joshua out of the picture for Tyson Fury. And who better for him to fight than Deontay Wilder? Well, the allegations, first of all, are total nonsense. I mean, they're crazy. Couldn't happen. The gloves, the way they handled the Nevada Commission, you can't put an object in the gloves. You can't manipulate the gloves. That's just total nonsense. The idea that Mark Breland put drops in his water, why would he do that? Breland was part of his team. Makes no sense, right? But you got to cut him a little slack, because we in the United States have been watching television for months, and we're listening to the crazy president, Donald Trump, who never says anything that's not a lie, right? I mean, just wild nonsense about the election being fraudulent and just total trash. But people watch, and a lot of people, or some people, you know, mimic Trump. So a lot of what Wilder said is very Trumpian, which clearly is not true. But again, people who've been watching too much television resort to conspiracy theories and spreading lies without any regard for the truth. That's all I have to say. So I think I'll, you know, if the time is appropriate, I would try to explain to my guy Tyson Fury that he has to cut Wilder a little slack, because Wilder's listening too much to television and to Donald Trump.
Any news on Tyson Fury? Obviously, that fight for December the 5th is no more. Any sort of news on a rescheduled run out for Tyson Fury?
Well, let's see again how the Pulev fight with Joshua turns out, and we'll go from there. I know that Fury is enjoying a vacation with his family, or will be, and right after that, we'll be talking about what his future plans are.
There's talk of him being ringside for AJ Pulev. What have you heard about that?
I don't know. I thought that he was going on vacation and wouldn't be in London, but I don't know. I know Eddie has arranged that 1,000 spectators will be attending the Joshua Pulev fight, which is good. And but again, my information is that that Fury will not be in London for that fight, but I could be wrong.
Lastly, Bob, I need to ask you about Jarrell Miller, 2-year ban. What'd you make of the news?
Well, I think that was justified. I think it was a consent decree, and the way I read the decree, and it says that if he does community work, and if he is subject to regular testing, the commission could or would make the ban 18 months rather than 24 months. I mean, it's very, very disappointing. For me, we signed Miller. We had other promoters and we entered into an agreement. And then for this to happen is sad. It's sad for us because we spent a lot of time getting this done. And it's certainly sad for Miller. So again, I have no explanation how this could happen after he'd been busted, you know, when he was a kickboxer and then busted again, where he lost the payday in the Joshua fight, a fight that he probably could have won, I think. You know, he seems like a self-destructive man, you know. I mean, how you can blame anybody for taking, you know, performance-enhancing drugs, but how don't you guard yourself after what happened the prior 2 times? So I have no explanation for that, but it's sheer stupidity or sheer villainy. It's one or the other, or maybe both.
He said it was a sex pill at the time.
Well, maybe it is, but again, you don't take a pill, a sex pill or whatever pill it is, without, you know, getting it cleared by some medical authority that it's an okay kind of drug to take. Because whether it's a sex pill or some other pill, it has some substances in it, and you've got to, if you're an athlete, you've got to get it cleared by the competent people before you take it.
Lastly, Bob, when can we see the next big Top Rank show? When's that happening?
Well, we've done remarkably throughout this pandemic. I think we've done 40 boxing shows since the beginning of June. Now, after the Crawford Brook fight, the next fight that we're doing is Shakur Stevenson, who's going to be one of the big stars in boxing. He's fighting Toka Khan. And then we're going to go slow. The beginning of next year, we're not doing anything in January. We're going February. We have a light heavyweight championship with Joe Smith and against a Russian fighter. Then we have a great fight with Burchell and Oscar Valdez for the 130-pound championship. And then we'll have Navarrete back in a 126-pound championship. We're stalling for time until the pandemic is under control, since we get a vaccine. And I think by the spring, we'll be able to do fights like we've done, or almost like we've done before, with either full arenas or half full arenas. We can't continue doing all of these fights without spectators. Economically, it's a killer. So we're going to stall for time, and then we have a robust schedule starting in May, which will be like every other week or 3 times a month. But hopefully we'll be able to do those great events with spectators.
All right, Bob. It's been a pleasure once more. You're looking well, I might say. You're looking really well.
Good. Yeah, good.
Thanks for your time, Bob.
Good talking to you. If I don't talk to you before, have a Merry Christmas.
You too, Bob. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Pep Talk, Bob Arum. Thanks for your time.
Good talking.
Thank you. Thanks.